Oh, you all know how to make someone feel really special. Thank you so much for that. And now, block of the week. It's my favourite bit of the week, other than the fact that I got spoilt rotten by my lovely husband, and he doesn't know it yet. So, we are doing our block 8. Can you believe we're on block 8 already? So this is the block we're going to make today in the blue, and unfortunately it's on the bottom of the quilt, and I'm not going to attempt to show it on there just because I'm going to probably pull it down and the whole set will go down. And we're having a really good show today. Nothing's gone wrong, touch wood. So I shouldn't have said that, should I? The whole thing's going to catch fire or something. So there we go. You can see... There it is. In the brights, I knew it was here somewhere. That's going to be where our block is going, on the other end of the quilt there. And that's our very first free P&P of block of the week. Can you believe it? And then we've got our vintage colourway as well. We've got the 3 different colourways there. So that's vintage. So remember, each time you order one of these, if you're going to do the vintage one, you're going to get your panel of fabric. You're going to get your instructions. You've got the lovely tutorial I'm about to do with you. And then when you finish making it, it'll look like that. Probably better because you'd have made it rather than me. But that is what you're going to be making there in the vintage colourway. So if you haven't joined us before, let me start at the very beginning. Because we're all in lockdown and we can't go anywhere and do anything, we wanted to be able to create a social experience for you all to take part in, be able to be involved in, and to be able to then share on social media and ask questions and do it with people and make new friends. So we thought we'd do a block of the week rather than a block of the month, because that means that every week you're delivery will be arriving and you'll be able to then take part, share your progress on the fans page or on our Sewing Street TV page, and then I'll be able to show you where things may be able to be improved a little bit, or if you've got any questions or something has gone wrong in the week, you can ask and I'm able to then be able to help you with that online as well. We've had loads of different questions come through from people, and each week when we get the questions in, the following week I try and answer those questions as we go. And this week, touch wood, it seems to have gone reasonably well. So we haven't had very many questions on it as well, which is great. So if you're just joining in today, if you look on our YouTube page, if you search www.youtube.com and then you search for Sewing Street, you'll be able to find our channel. And on our channel, you'll see there's a little tab called Videos. So if you click on Videos and then search by date order, you'll see that each week that we do a video for the block of the week on how to make it, you'll see that there's a separate hour pulled out individually for the block of the week. So last week was block 7, this week's block 8, and then the previous 7 weeks, 8 weeks before then, you'll go right back to number 1. But it's free P&P today, so I know there have been people saying, oh, I'm going to order it a bit later on when I save on the postage and packaging. It's free today, so you can go back right to the beginning and you'll see we've actually got a bundle of all 8. For those people who've been savvy shoppers wanting to make sure they only spent the 1 P&P, you'll be able to now go and buy all of that bundle from number 1 to number 8 with no postage and packaging at all. All you need to do is go through and type in my name, John, in the postage and pack. Before you check out, there'll be a promotional code option. Just pop my name in there and you'll get your free postage and packaging. There are 12 blocks in the series. We're still debating whether we're doing 13 weeks for sashing and boarding, sashing and borders, or whether we're going to do a 13th week for the sashes and borders. We'll let you know on that closer to the time. But at the moment, it looks like you're going to have 12 blocks, and our 13th week will be that. But we might condense it all together. We're not too sure yet. We're just debating on how we get that last little bit to you, because obviously, as you can see in this, you've got all your sashings here, you've got your borders as well. We just want to see what works best for everybody in doing it that way. So now I've done lots of talking. Let me show you the other 2 colorways. We've got the Brights colorway, which I'm demoing today, and with the Brights colorway you're going to get the bundle there as well as the instructions. And if you haven't seen one of our panels before, let me open this up so you can see what you're going to be getting. All of them are 55 inches wide. And each week there will be a bigger section of one block, a smaller section of one colour, simply because some weeks you use more of one colour than you do the other. And we're trying to make sure that you've got enough left over that if you do make a mistake, you can then not have to worry, you've got bits left over. But what I'm loving, because I follow all this way along, we've got some very savvy sewers out there. The lovely Jan Hill had messaged in this morning to wish me well for my birthday, thank you. I think Jan had already made block 4, I think it was, out of the scraps she had left over out of 1, 2 and 3. Very clever. Because then with the bits that you got left over, you can make cushions, you can make various other bits and bobs as well. So it's you get loads of fabric left over. In fact, Now I know this has got 2 panels in there that I haven't cut. That's my leftovers. So you can see there's loads in there as well. But the good thing is because I've demoed in different colours, this is going to be a really, really scrappy quilt because I've got them all in different blocks. So that's really great as well. And then we've got the blue colourway, which is the one behind me here. And then this is the panel you're going to get for that. And the instructions. Wow. So, and every week we have got a competition to see which colour sells more than the other. And every week, without fail, this is the most preferred colourway, and it is a really beautiful, beautiful colourway there. You can see that gorgeous green, the pink and the dark grey with that lovely cream. This is already sold hundreds already this morning, so I am so pleased because it's such a beautiful colourway. And usually the blue's next, isn't it? But it's the blue and the bright seem to fight with each other to see who wins each week. But look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? That's that beautiful blue behind me as well. And what I've tried to do each week, even though we've got the 3 different colourways, I want you to be building up your techniques and building up your skills. And you'll find in this week, I've taken your training wheels off. You're not going to be making bigger triangles this week. You're going to be cutting those to the measurements, and you're going to be getting it exactly right this week. I know you are. Now what I'm going to do now is just keep this open as I lay this out. Now I cheated a little bit this week and I made half the block already. Just because I wanted to triple check I had everything completely correct. So that is, wait, where am I going? There we go. Now the first thing, now each week I do different things, so things that have been asked. So you'll find the last 2 weeks I've not cut the fabric out because the 3 weeks before then I cut the fabric out from beginning to end. So I'm hoping you've been able to catch up with that and how you do it. If you haven't, don't forget you can go back and watch any one of our tutorials that I've done so far. You can go back and watch those. See, this is why you lay them out, because I put that the wrong way round. What am I doing? Where am I? See, this is the thing. You have too much excitement and you get distracted. There we go. Right, I've got it now. Sorry, I knew I'd done something silly. Dum dum dum. Oh, there we go. That's what it is I'm not putting my squares in the middle. That's where I'm going confused. That goes there. Sorry, bear with, bear with. I say that a lot, apparently. And there we go. So what I'm doing each week is I lay my block out as I'm going to be sewing it, just to make sure that I'm doing everything the correct way. Now the instructions I think are really simple. We haven't had any problems with the instructions so far. People have messaged me privately to ask certain things. In the previous weeks you are trimming everything down, you're cutting everything bigger, then trimming it down. This week we're not cutting bigger, we're cutting to the correct size, but we're still trimming down to make sure that we get rid of those dog ears and we make sure that we trim everything perfectly. So the first thing you're going to do that most people have struggled with, not struggled with, but I'm going to remind you every week, is we've called these fabrics 1, 2, 3 and 4. Because in my colourway, there are my 4 fabrics. I've got the pink, I've got the grey, I've got the black and I've got the white. So in my colourway, white is fabric 1, pink is fabric 2, grey is fabric 3 and fabric 4 is black. Now the reason I say that is because when I say to you cut a black triangle, fabric 4, in this colourway it is dark blue. Whereas in the vintage colourway, I'm just double checking because I always get this wrong, in the vintage colourway it's dark grey, but in the blue colourway it's navy. So each week you're going to have to cut fabric 1, 2, 3 and 4 and you're referring to, you will see each one of your fabrics is labelled there. You can see there's fabric 1, there's fabric 2, the pink is fabric 3, I know that because I've done it myself. So you'll see you've got then fabrics 3 and fabric 4 on there. So every week when you get your block, I will show you the half block of it, you can see you've got the 4 colours. That's fabric 1, the yellow on this one is fabric 2, the pink on this one is fabric 3, and the dark blue on this one is fabric 4. That's on the Brights colourway, but each week fabric 1, 2, 3 and 4 will be the same. It's just a case of making sure what I do is I cut these fabrics 1, 2, 3 and 4 out, and then when I come to cut them all, I attach fabric 1, 2, 3 and 4 to the edge so that I know my fabric 1 is that colorway, fabric 2 that colorway, 3 that way and 4 that way. Reason being is we all do these projects, we all get very excited and we do them, and then they sit in a box for a couple of weeks and we're like, oh, what was fabric 1? And then you've got to look it up. If you've done the work now and attach them to the side, they're always there. So when you pull the pattern out, it's available for you. You know which one's fabric 1, 2, 3 and 4, and you can do that really, really easily. So I'm going to go out of order from the pattern simply because the techniques are the same. So if I'm doing, this may be step 1, that may be step 2, but if I do them the other way round, forgive me, it's just for time to make sure that I get it right. But the pattern is really simple way of being able to show you how you do that. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to sew your half square your triangles together. We did briefly discuss a 1/4 inch seam previously. I will recap that now. And what I'll do is I'll show you on this one. When I have sewn, and of course I should have used contrasting thread, but I haven't, you can see that my thread there is stitching what I'm thinking is my 1/4 inch line. So what I do is I take my ruler and I check whether that is exactly on a 1/4 inch. So on here you will see that I've got, this is the white line that I'm using here. Of course I'm using a white line to show you white thread on a white backing, so you're going to have to bear with me on this one. So I'm going to get so you can see there's the white line there. If I move my finger you can see that white line there is the 1/4 inch. So if I line my thread line there up to the 1/4 inch, you can see that that meets exactly on the edge. Okay? But if I move this down a little bit, you will see it's slightly in over here. This is correct. This is what you want. The reason being is when you've got what we're calling a scant 1/4 inch. So if that's now my fabric lined up to the edge of the ruler. You can see that my thread line is on this side of the white line for the 1/4 inch. The reason you want that is when you press this triangle open, if you've used a scant 1/4 inch, what's happening is when you come to measure the square, it's perfect. If you use a perfect 1/4 inch seam on here, so like over here when I measured that was exactly a 1/4 inch. This side of my triangle is slightly too small, whereas the middle is exactly right, because when I fold this over, you're folding fabric, so you've got 1 or 2 threads over there that are causing your fabric not to have that perfect sizing. So that's the one thing you just need to be aware of. You want to do this at a scant 1/4 inch seam. And the reason you want scant is that when you fold it over, the triangle, the square, half square triangle then measures the measurements that we want it to be. And I'm not telling you what that is because you've got to buy the pattern. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press this, and I'm going to do it quickly because I love it. It's my favorite feature of this. Wait for it. You've seen it been so many times. We've got the lovely lotus, which opens like a flower. Oh, it's gorgeous. I love it. This is coming in at, what time is this? 11. It's the next hour. In the next hour. So if anybody wants to do a little bit of forward planning, go and look on our website, type in Lotus, and you'll be able to see what we're doing. But you're not going to find a deal like that again, that's for sure. And if you do, we're going to have some very interesting words for you to know that it's all sorted. I've just got to make sure that I get that worded completely correctly. So there we go. Now what I'm doing now, as you can see, I'm doing my scant 1/4 inch. I have jumped out of order in the pattern, but all I'm doing is making sure that I get my scant 1/4 inch. Oh, sorry, I didn't think you could see me then. I was just telling Kat, I need the mat. Sorry. In our changeover, I forgot to pick the mat up. As if by magic. Oh, I love the social distancing. As if by magic, the mat appeared under the counter, pushed from across the room by a broomstick. Who knew we had a broom in here? It was brilliant. Right, sorry, I forgot to put this on earlier. And if you've got the space, always have the biggest mat you can. There we go. So what I've done now is, and this fabulous machine, watch this. It's done, sorted. From a tiny, beautiful little machine like this, at this incredible price, you even get a thread cutter. Right, where have I put my... there it is. I'm getting so distracted now. It's like a giant birthday party, and I forgot to put everything that I actually need for my demo on the stage. I'm glad we've got everything available there. Don't forget you got your free P&P today, although the birthday shenanigans continue. What I'm loving is you're all going through the website and you're actually seeing all those things that you've wanted to buy over the last little while. And now with the free postage and packaging, you're exploring the website and reminding yourself of all those incredible products that we've had online recently. There we go. Well, I won't deny when I did my little order, I stocked up on all my sewing needles. And I might have bought a few other little bits and bobs. Yeah. It's sort of like the chocolate by the till, isn't it? Where you end up going and doing that and you just see it and you're like, oh, what's one more? And it's free postage and packaging. Free postage. So the other thing I had was a rotary cutter. I'm going to see if I can find my favourite one. And I can't. Oh, I can. There we go. It's my birthday. I can use what I like. So what I'm doing now is we're now going to trim these down using our rotating cutting mat that I've got over here. Now every week I've used the rotating cutting mat and told you how good it is. I've picked the triangle up and folded it round. So I'm going to remember to do it the right way today. So the website will remind you, oh my goodness, that is almost perfect. Oh gosh, I love it when a plan comes together. So when you trim this, you can see if you've done it correctly, that's all you should have left over, and all you're getting rid of is just that hair of fabric all the way along. Forgive my head in your way, I need to line it up perfectly. Brilliant. So you remember I said to you that my 1/4 inch wasn't quite right? You can see just over here, I'm a hair too short over there. That doesn't matter. Every single one of you may have some little issue like that, and I'll show you how you fix that in a little while. Oh, that one's pretty good. And it's just taking the time to make sure you get that 1/4 inch just right. And if nothing else, you're just getting rid of the dog ears. See, I told you, every time I rotate it, I don't rotate the mat, I just rotate the thing. Every single time. It's ridiculous. But when I'm in my studio, I'm rotating it all the time. So there we go, that's done. You can see just how tiny that little bit off that you're getting off is. Now, rotate the mat. Rotate the mat. So this one is also equally as good. And you rotate the mat. And then you pick the... Oh, and then I moved it anyway. You know what it is because I'm on air and I want to make sure I get it perfect. I just want to make sure I'm also getting the right camera bits there. Brilliant, so you can see that is what you're looking for. That is just literally a shaving of one thread off. Now, as you've done that, you then take this back here. Where's my iron? There it is. Just checking I haven't set fire to the studio yet. So you are going to now make sure all the way along you just keep putting all these bits into the right place to make sure it is all lining up perfectly. It helps if I keep them all together. And there we go. That is what we're looking for. So there we go, we've got everything all lined up together. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sew these two together and we're going to sew these two together. Now when I said to you that your seam over here may have been a bit short, let me show you how you fix that. So this one is exactly right because I was lucky enough to make sure my 1/4 inch seam was right. But if this was a little bit short, what you're going to do is you're going to have your square, which is perfectly sized to what it should be. You're going to split the difference, and what that means is you're going to line your square in the middle of your half square triangle. You're going to line that into the middle of your white square. So if you're 2 threads out there, you're going to move it up 1 thread there and down 1 thread there, so that it's perfectly in the middle, and that way you can keep your 1/4 inch seam perfect. And when you've moved it around like that, put it back and check you're not going to sew it wrong. So now I'm going to sew these 2 together here. Because I've got a little lumpy bit there, I'm going to sew with my white triangle on the bottom. Okay. And you're going to do this with both your half square triangles and your squares. And because I've got my lovely thread cutter, I'm going to thread, because I don't want to then trim my threads each time, that will then pick up the next piece as I go through. And that can be loose for you there. There we go. And then I'm going to now set my seams. And you do definitely get yourself into a nice little rhythm. You get yourself a nice little chain piecing thing. I've set my seams there, and I'm now rotate, because normally I've been doing my seams pressed open. This week I'm going to try them pressing to the dark side. Try on each different one each week that you go on and give it a go and see what you like. Now I think that seam is a little bit small. That's all right, absolutely fine. And there we go. Get that all pressed. Now I had 2 of these. There we go. That's the great thing with this little June Tailor, is that you can just pick it up and put it down, and if you've covered everything, it doesn't matter, you just pick it up and get it done. So there we go, we've now got that all lined up perfectly. Now you've got to pay attention, because there aren't that many seams in here that you've got to line up, but this one's an important one. So again, I line these up, just checking it's the right way. Check it back to the picture. So you've got your picture here. Make sure you've got everything lined up perfectly. Now, can anybody spot my error? Something is wrong. And the reason it's wrong is that's the wrong way round. No, it's not. Oh gosh, I did this again. What have I done? I've ruined the demo before I start. You know what I've done? I've sewn this on the wrong side. I did this just now. Sorry, you see, I do this now. I'm not paying attention. So there we go. That is the yellow bit pointing to the middle. And I've sewn this the wrong way around. We're going to now go to some messages maybe while I do this. Oh my goodness. Actually, while we're doing this, let's do Make of the Week. Make of the Week is a good idea, that you're not going to have made a rookie error like I did and sew these all together the wrong way. But you know, you're all going to do it. I knew something was wrong. I'm really sorry about that. So every week, Vicky, myself and Debbie go and we pick our we each pick one favourite make of the week. Now, I'm not going to deny, I had 3 favourites this week and I changed my mind twice and was told the only reason I was allowed to change my mind was because it was my birthday. And that is because all of you are so talented and you make the most incredible makes each week. You're making it harder and harder for us. So each week, Debbie and I and Vicky choose who our favourites are. And this week, the people who are Make of the Week get free postage and packaging on another day. So today our winners are Cherie Banner, Ross Stokes and Carol Roberts. And for the first time, I think I've actually pronounced everybody's name correctly. Let's show you what their makes were this week. This is on our Sewing Street fans page. Cherie Banner made this incredible doll. Isn't that just adorable? And then we've got Ross Stokes, who made this absolutely adorable little dress, absolutely gorgeous, well done. And then our last winner of the week is Carol Roberts with that incredible quilt. Absolutely love that. Well done, Carol. We've got some fabulous winners there today. And don't forget, on your next order, just message us in on the Sewing Street TV page. Send us a message and say that you were winner of Make of the Week. And you're going to get a code for free postage and packaging on another day. Obviously, you won't be using it today because the code for your free postage and packaging is John. And those are our lovely winners. I've now unpicked that completely and I'm going to show you what I'd done. There we go. So as if by magic we're going to pretend that didn't happen. Live on the telly, what could possibly go wrong? And we joked it was a really good organised show today, and of course I'd messed it up there before we go. So there we go. You're going to sew these pieces together there, and instead of sewing that side to there, don't. You're sewing that side to there. So that is important. So there we go. Check it back to the pattern, and that's why I lay it out every time. And normally I find it does help having somebody else check your work and say, nope, that's wrong, because that would have helped. So now we've sewn these two together, and we've sewn that. We're now going to make that one piece like we have here. So the bit that's really important to meet is that middle bit over there. And I won't deny, I'm quite proud of that point. That is absolutely perfect there. So I'm now going to try and do that again. I probably won't, but we'll do it. We'll give it a go. And the reason I've done these to one side is when you do press your seams to one side, you've got this ability. So if I can move that there, you can see I've got a little gap in there now. I'm just moving around, so poor Joe's having to follow me around the stage. So you see there, I've now got a little gap as I fold that back. You can see I've got a little gap, but if I shift that over, you can see those blue lines are now perfectly lined up. And then if I push there, when you're actually feeling the fabric, you can feel that there's no space between it. So I've got the wonderful technical term there called smushing it together, which definitely doesn't work, but it does work when you get it right. But I love the term smushing together, so because that just shows you what you've got to do. And I love the fact this lotus has got its needle down as an automatic feature. Oh, the lotus is in the next hour. It is without question the deal of the day. Have a little sneaky peek on the web. I'm sure some of you may have seen this before, but I was astonished at the price we're able to offer this today. So now, you're aiming to get that spot on, and that is as close as I'm going to get on live telly. So now you're going to press that open again, or you're going to press that now again. My little prim iron. There we go. Press that there. Oh gosh, that is perfect. Oh, that's impressive. I'm astonished with myself. Well, I think I've messed the block up already by sewing the wrong end to the other side. It can only go better from here. That, or I'm going to cut the thing in half when I finish making it. Don't joke, I've done that before. You spend all this time making a block, put it down, cut out another piece of fabric, and you cut the block in half. Right, so now is, if you've not been paying attention before, now you have to pay attention, because this is a tricky bit. When you are sewing these triangles, and I'm going to move this out the way, not to distract us. When you are sewing these triangles onto the square, it is very, very, very important that you line these up correctly. So I'm going to sew this triangle here onto here, and I'm sewing it onto the short white edge here. So when I line these up, and the good thing is I've trimmed these down now to the size per the pattern, and I'm making sure that this bit is lined up and this bit is lined up. Sorry, my little sample bent in my bag. So you'll have a 1/4 inch over there, and you'll have a 1/4 inch over here. It's really, really important that this one lines up and that one lines up. Don't do any more, don't do any less. You line those up, you pick that up, and you're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam along here. Okay, we're not thinking about anything else, we're just now doing that bit, 1/4 inch, and off we go. And my fabric slipped a little bit at the bottom there, doesn't matter, line back up again. And we cut that off. And now you're going to make sure that you press this, and you've got to be very, very careful not to stretch this. You're just going to do that proper pressing thing. You hold that down, you pick this up, and you gently fold it over. Okay, so that is the first triangle on. Now what's important about that is if I'd lined that up to the other edge, I wouldn't have had a 1/4 inch over here for when I sew it on. And that'll mean that when you put this on, you're going to end up with a blunt end of your triangle, which we don't want. Okay, so that is our first little triangle piece going on over here. Now we've got the second triangle piece going on here, so exactly the same as the first time. You're going to fold that on top there. You're going to line that line up there and that line up there, and you're going to have a 1/4 inch over there and a 1/4 inch over there. It's really, really important that you make sure that you line that one up and you line that one up, and then you go along this edge and sew that 1/4 inch. And if you've done that right, which I haven't, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I just did that. I couldn't believe that is meant to go on there. Oh my goodness, I am doing really well today. I think you should show anything on the page you'd like to that's not going to be a mess up. I cannot believe I only had 7 seams to sew and I've messed them all up. I am so, so sorry. So remember now, you're going to be a lot better at this than I am, because you're going to be able to giggle at my videos where I've made errors along the way. We've got 8 blocks already, and these are now all available by the bundle. We've got them from 1 to 8 in the 3 different colorways, which saves you going and buying multiple pieces. So if you're going to go and pick blocks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll be able to then see them all online in one bundle. Very, very easy to do. And then block 8, if you've already bought these already and you're just looking at block 8, obviously we've got those individually as well. If you've done a couple and you've missed 1 or 2 along the way, all of the blocks in all the different colorways are available individually on the website. And if you haven't seen that before, you'll be able to go and look at that on our website. So, and the website is www.sewingstreet.com. Don't be scared it goes to Jewellery Maker, because they're our sister channel and they're very kindly lending us their website at the moment while we're having ours built, and that's not going to take much longer there. And also check out the Lotus, and you go there. Most of you already have, actually. I'm hearing that it's going really well. So now, as I repeated earlier, you're going to line that one up, and you're going to sew on that line, not that line like I did. This is going really well today. So there we go. Now I'm going to make sure. But the good thing is if I make the error on here, you won't make it at home. So there we go. It's a service I'm providing for you. There we go. And what you're looking for here is to make yourself a giant triangle. Whew, I didn't do it wrong again. So there we go. Oh my goodness. So there we go. You're going to give this a nice press now. Try not to iron it because it will distort, because you've got everything on the bias now. So I don't know what ironing is. I have to say, last week we had much hilarity because I was doing my pressing with the prim and I was explaining that I only press, I don't iron. And I got home and my husband had put the ironing board up with my prim iron and said, there you go, darling, you can go and press all your shirts for me. He's very funny, my husband, bless him. So that is what you're meant to have ended up with, and what you're looking for is that you're making sure you've got a 1/4 inch around that whole white triangle, so that when you sew them together correctly, you are not going to end up losing the points on the edge of your triangle. Because when you're looking at this and you think that it is wrong, you are quite right, and I promise you, and I'll show you why. So when I sew that on together there, you can see my point is perfect. And that's what we're looking to make sure that we do when we now put these two together. And this is where a little bit of adjustment comes into play. So you can see I'm now lining my yellow triangle over that. Now remember, you're not going to only have, some of you may be doing a different colorway, so you won't have a yellow triangle. Once I've laid that out, I am going to now make sure I get rid of those little dog ears. You can do that with a pair of scissors. You can do that with a rotary cutter. Just do it safely. I'm just trimming those off. And there we go. Just make sure lining up of it a little bit easier. And there we go. Now once you've done that, you're going to sew along the long edge John, the long edge. My goodness, I should come with a warning label on my birthday. There we go. So you're going to sew this. Now again, you're going to make sure there are two things you need to do. You do your scant 1/4 inch, and where you've got this cross of threads over here, you're making sure that you stitch on that side to be able to make sure that that point kisses gently onto your little yellow triangle. So as your point comes towards your needle, slow right down, there's no rush, and you're just gently going to kiss that on. Oh, I think I did that perfectly. Fingers crossed my lovely little lotus there gave us a nice little kiss there, please. Of all the things I've done wrong, please let me get this right. Look at that. That's exactly what you're looking for. You can see that that just gently, perfectly hits it there. And that's why you've got to make sure you've got that 1/4 inch all the way along. And what I was talking about when I stitched closer, over here you'll see that when we were sewing the triangles to the white piece, you've got these stitch lines over here. What I was wanting is that that stitch line there is just a hair's breadth on that side of where these two threads join, intersect. It's really important that you do that because you've spent all this time making such a beautiful triangle. That is the one point you really, really want to make sure that you nail and you get perfectly right. Even if you've stitched it the wrong way before, that's what you're looking for. And I'm now pressing these to the side. You can press these. In fact, I'm going to press this open. And I have got an ironing finger here somewhere, but there we go. I've messed everything up so far. I'm just going to leave the ironing finger exactly where it is, probably melt it quietly onto the set. And there we go. Even though you can't melt that ironing thing, I'd probably do it anyway. So now, oh gosh, I had a heart attack and I thought I put that the wrong way around. So there we go. That is now how your block is going to look in the 4 pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew those two together, and then I'm going to sew those two together. Now when we're doing that again, when we're stitching this, remember you've got this line over here, and you'll see you've got that point where that blue triangle meets in. You're going to try and make sure that your stitch line hits that blue triangle just at that point over here. And equally when I do this side, you'll see this may be a little clearer. You'll be able to see there the intersection of the seams which you've already stitched. You're wanting when you stitch to make sure that you get it on that side of the point there. So that's the point. I'm wanting to make sure I get it on that side. If you do get it on this side, that means that you're going to end up losing that point. If you do that, do not unpick the whole block. Unpick from there to about there. It's only about an inch and a half on each side, and then just pull that to the correct place and then just stitch that bit again. You don't need to unpick the whole block. It's just a lot easier that way of doing it, and also you're not going to mess with the bias of the block by doing that. So now I'm getting this all lined up. I'm crossing my fingers, clicking my heels 3 times. Please, please, please don't let go. There we go. Oh, this machine is... Of course it is. The machine is unthreaded, but it's got a wonderful threading machine. This is such a lovely little machine. And of course I unthreaded it again. Of course I did. I'm all thumbs today. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you, my little lotus. This is launching in the next hour, so don't miss out on that. And there we go. And I'm doing the same on the second piece, making sure I line these up perfectly. Now on this one you can see my triangle piece at the bottom is a hair bigger on either side than my square triangle. So you can see I'm literally a hair. So when I said to you earlier I was splitting the difference, I'm literally putting one hair there, and I'm stitching down the middle of that. So that's what I meant about doing it, because then you've still got the symmetry of the block, and you're not going to end up with funny seams on it. It'll fit nicely there together. Just don't sew down on the wrong side like I did. And there we go. I'm just going to open these and check I did them the right way. Oh, thank goodness. I was quite worried there for a second. Now again, all you're doing here is you're now setting your seams as you go. And then I'm folding this back, and I'm going to fold to the dark side. And again, you can see you've got your 1/4 inch seam over there. I've just hit my point there, so that is perfect. Very, very happy with that. And then I just give my block that one extra little bit of pressing, making sure everything's nice and flat, because most of the bias edges are now completely sewn up. And I'm just making sure that's a nice, fresh, flat piece that I'm going to sew together now. And then again on this side, I'm setting my seams, folding back, and again I just kissed that perfectly there. Absolutely brilliant, happy with that. Oops. Just make sure I press that nice and comfortably. There we go. And then I lay the block down exactly as it's supposed to be. Like that, and like that. And now we're going to sew these together. Now the 3 important bits that you're looking for is you've got a triangle that you need to meet there, you've got a center point there that you need to meet, and you've got a triangle point that you need to meet there. So like I've mentioned before, you've got these cross sections here where your stitch lines have gone. You're wanting to make sure that you put your stitch line, so you can see there's a cross stitch there and a cross stitch there. You're wanting your stitch line to go on that side of the cross over there. Exactly the same with that. And because I press my seams to one side, that center seam, like we did previously with the 4 patch, will nestle beautifully together there. That just lines in perfectly there. You can see that. You've got that all pressed up perfectly there. So my cheat way of doing this is you push this in over here, and the great thing is because the lighter fabric, my fabric number 1, is here, I can actually see my dark blue line underneath it. So as I get closer, and the great thing with this is it's got a wonderful threading system that works so lovely there. Bum, bum, bum. Well, it's because she's our star of the next show. She's wanting to show us how easy she is to thread. And there we go. And I'm hoping I hit that point. Now, what you do want to make sure is that even if you have missed the point, make sure you hit this middle point, because that is definitely the point that most people look at. If the center of your block doesn't line up, that's where they get a little critical at times. I'm a firm believer, though, that if anybody does, you don't have them back in your home. Don't need that. Oh, wait. Yes, fingers crossed. I think that's lined up perfectly. And there we go. Oh, there we go. And you've got to do the little dance. Every time that happens, you've got to do the little dance. That's what you're looking for right there. In the Brights colorway there, you can see that is literally perfect. That is exactly what you're looking for, where you're just touching the edges there. And that's what your block is this week. No doubt when you make it, you won't have a myriad of errors like I have today. Just take your time. Lay it out correctly, even better. That would be even better for you. Lay it out correctly, and then the very last one you're doing is you just press the seam, exactly like we have in the last few. Press your seam, roll that back, and there you go. You've got that wonderful seam. And there we go. So there we go. That is your block now completely finished, ready to go. And that's block 8. If you are just joining us for our block of the week for the first time today, it is such a great community feel on our social media, so please check that out. If you look on our Facebook Sewing Street fans page and just type in apostrophe block of week, close apostrophe, you'll be able to see it. Otherwise, if you just type in block, all the blocks will come up of all the different posts from various people. That works really, really well, so you'll be able to see how everybody's been enjoying it and taking part. We got free P&P today. We're using the code JOHN. When you go to checkout, there's a code promotional entry box there. So if you haven't joined in with us already and waiting to get free P&P, now you can. We've got bundles of blocks 1 to 8. If you haven't joined us already, you've got that as one big bundle ready to go for you. We've got 3 different colorways. This colorway here is our blue colorway, which we've got there. And I'm going to destroy the set and take the vintage down and show you the vintage colorway there. And then the colorway I've been using today is the vintage one. Please don't fall down. Please don't fall down. There we go. And this is our Brights colourway as well. All really vibrant, very exciting colourways. I think they work very, very well together. And they're just a lovely, lovely quilt to have. And that is our block of the week. All the blocks on their own are available. We've got them as bundles. Go through and check out our website. If you just type in my surname, Cole-Morgan, all of the patterns will come up for the block of the week. And you will easily be able to then take part with us then. Really lovely little pattern there.